G'day and welcome back to the KooCast. My name is Nick and today we're going to talk about Avengers Endgame. Yes, the last movie in the Marvel franchise. Or is it? Well, obviously it's not going to be because Disney's are here clearly onto a winner. But, I mean, look, no spoilers. It is very much a bookend to the, I don't know how many, 15, 16 movies we've had prior to this. So, look, it definitely is a bookend. I'm not going to say it's definitely the end, but it's definitely a bookend to how this movie ends. So, to how these 14, 15 movies end. Look, again, spoilers. Spoilers. I don't even know why you're listening to this, but spoilers are ahead. Spoilers ahoy. I'm going to put a spoiler button because, a spoiler noise because I think you all need to know that spoilers are ahead. All right, have we all sorted that out? Have you stopped listening if you haven't seen the movie? Because, quite frankly, you probably need to go see this movie first before you come and listen to this review. And look, I'm not going to go through the movie. It's not really a review. I'm just going to give you my review at the top of the show here. It's a good movie. If you have seen or you're invested in any of the Marvel movies, you need to see this movie. I mean, if you've seen Infinity War and you enjoyed Infinity War, you don't need my recommendation. You don't need my approval to go see this movie. You are just going to go see this movie because, like all of us, you're going to go find out what happens after the snap. Did you survive? So look, this movie, it is quickly as a review, this movie actually was kind of clever in the mechanics of how they rerouted all the characters to go to different places and sort of is in some ways a greatest hits. Like the first two-thirds of the movie is essentially a greatest hits. You're assembling the band back together and we're just going through some of the favorite bits of our timeline just to get you in the space for where everything was, where we've been and where we're going to next. It was a very clever little, I think, plot technique to actually get all the Avengers basically back into some of their previous timelines. Obviously, we have a callback to the original Avengers. Some scenes from Infinity War. We also get a scene from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. And yeah, we also meet the Ancient One 5 years before she meets Doctor Strange. It's really kind of a clever way to basically show us the journey that we've been on. And I thought that was a really great way to sort of use nostalgia to drive the plot forward. Obviously, I really dug actually how they set up the premise for the rest of the movie in the sense that we didn't get it wasn't predictable. I don't know if I could have predicted it. I mean, even looking back at it, I was like, yeah, okay. It was kind of good that they went with the fact that Thanos actually destroyed the Infinity Stones right off the bat. Like, that's why he was so injured. I remember seeing that sort of that blurry shot of him in the field as he's picking the fruit from the field and wondering why his hand was all garbled up. And then we realized later that it's because basically he blew up the Infinity Stones and nearly killed himself in the process. And then we realized that we basically take off the table that there's no going back at this point. So I actually really dug that. I actually thought, oh, wow, they actually burned that bridge and they had to find another more interesting way to get them back to the past and solve the issues that they had. Interestingly enough, I just prior to this movie, I didn't actually intend to watch this movie, but I did end up watching Ant-Man and the Wasp. And I'm kind of glad I did. I think you need to watch that movie before you watch, more so than Captain Marvel, I think you need to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp to understand some of the things that happen in Avengers Endgame. I actually think it's required watching to some degree. Well, maybe not required watching. It'd be interesting to see if anybody understood everything that was happening if you didn't see Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I thought that was kind of cool. The fact that Scott basically wakes up in that garage and that we have that really strange cameo from Ken Jeong. There were so many random cameos in this. I mean, obviously Ken Jeong, a lot of non-speaking cameos, which I thought was quite interesting. We have Ken Jeong being the security guard. He just does absolutely nothing. One of the Community alum, which obviously the Russo brothers have worked with. We also get the lady who plays Shirley, also turn up when Captain America and Tony Stark go back to go back to around circa World War II. Is it World War II or World War One? Anyway, I think it's World War II. Anyway, so it's pretty cool. A lot of highlights in that movie for me. I really enjoyed the ending a lot. I thought it was the correct ending. I actually thought poetically it was right. Tony Stark needed to die. He basically started the Avengers and ended the Avengers. And I think, well, ended, quote unquote, ended the Avengers, but ended that stage of the Avengers. And I thought it was a very poetic death. It was the right ending. I don't think any other Avenger would have done it better. It was either him or Captain America, but I thought actually, thinking about it, it had to be Tony Stark. It couldn't have been anybody else. And I loved, there were so many great moments in this. And I guess it's a culmination of a whole bunch of these these characters we've known for such a long time, all coming together at the last second and then having their moment in the sun. Everybody got a great moment in the sun. So we have obviously Captain America at the very end hooking up with Peggy. It's Peggy, right? I think that's her name, Peggy Carter. Well, his girlfriend from the first movie. He finally gets the girl that he wants to get to, like the girl of his dreams. The one he's always holding in, his little compass thing that he's holding. I love that. I really dug that. It really brought a tear to my eye. I was really happy that he got it. I honestly thought, I didn't think they were going to do it, but I was just, I needed to see it. When we zoomed into the window at the very end and we saw Captain America with Peggy, I just thought, we better see it or there will be a riot in the cinema. Another moment I loved was when Spider-Man comes back and Peter Parker sees Tony during the middle of the battle and starts yammering on like he does. And Tony just hugs him. And it's such a great scene because he hadn't seen him in 5 years and it was just all the feels. I just love these little touches, these little moments. Obviously the heartbreak of Nat basically sacrificing herself instead of Clint. And I loved how we had to replay that scene again, but with people who we care about, not Gamora. I mean, not that we didn't care about Gamora, but as in a difference of like Thanos making the choice for someone versus Nat and Barton. Oh, freak, Jeremy Renner's character. Barton basically having to choose between who dies and who lives. And I love that they were fighting over it. And I did not really pick that Nat was going to go over the cliff. And so that was kind of clever. I really dug that scene in the sense that it was so heart-wrenching. I was like, oh man, why does Nat have to die? But I guess it made sense that Nat had to die, not Barton, because obviously he has a family to go back to, but still it was heart-wrenching nonetheless. Super sad that there are just some characters are just never going to come back. Obviously Nat's never going to come back. I suppose no one really truly dies in these comic book movies, but at least at this stage, they're not coming back. I don't see them coming back. Gamora too. Weird nitpicky bit. Gamora, is she dead? And what happened to her after Robert Downey Jr. snapped his fingers at the very end of the movie? Sorry, I mean Tony Stark snapped his fingers at the end of the movie. Is Gamora dead? Or because she wasn't on the ship, she wasn't on the Guardians of the Galaxy ship at the very end of the movie. So I don't know what happened to her. Did she? That to me was a weird ending. I feel like we saw her, now she's not there. Anyway. Obviously everybody comes back. It was nice to see Black Panther, that nice silhouette. I love that too, where the Falcon basically calls up Captain America and obviously all the portals appear and everybody starts coming through. Great. I love that. I had a feeling though, because I was basically, I think I was having this discussion with Michelle basically, although we were talking about Game of Thrones, as in like, it is a very kind of tropey thing where at the 11th hour, where everything is the most dire, is when you play your Deus Machina card. And I hope I'm saying that right. I've seen it written down so many times. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Anyway.
Deus Ex Machina.
you play this card, basically, that card that I just mentioned. I'm not going to say it again because I'm not going to make myself sound stupid.
Deus Ex Machina.
Card where something basically comes and solves the issue at the last second. Not that it was yeah, I'm going to say it. It was kind of just like, of course they would play this card because it's the most convenient time to play it. A classic example of this is like Lord of the Rings. I think it was Return of the King. Return of the King, obviously, where the Ghost Army comes, or in the Two Towers where Gandalf comes with his army, or in the Battle of the Bastards where the Knights of the Vale turn up. That sort of stuff, everybody plays those cards. It's a very good way to set up dramatic tension, but it does get played a lot. Or the Eagles coming to save everybody in Lord of the Rings. In any case, the portals save everybody because, you know, we've got magicians basically beaming all these like characters that we love that from the first movie back, from Infinity War back into this movie. We know they're all there. It's great. It's a big fight scene. It's probably, you know, they did this, but the difference being in this movie is that everything had stakes. We all know what's at stake here. Basically, reality is at stake, and so the battle felt well. I mean, it was still kind of, you know, CG battle. I mean, what kind of emotion can you draw from that? But still, it was a fun battle to watch. I really enjoyed all the tension. We obviously have Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel got a haircut. She looks a lot more like Carol Danvers from the books now. She doesn't have the long hair. She got the short hair now. Although I think they could have started more like a punk rocker rather than anything else. I think it was off the back of Captain Marvel. I didn't love Captain Marvel. I thought she was a fairly underwritten or not well fleshed out character. So I thought it was kind of smart that they didn't overuse her in this movie, that they just kind of kept her in the wings. Maybe they'll play her up a bit more, but I think she needs a lot more. I think people need to I think the writers or whoever takes over the next Marvel movies, I don't know if Kevin Feige's still going to be running this ship, but whoever directs or steers the next set of Marvel movies, they're going to have to really, really pick up Carol Danvers' character a lot more, because I think she's a bit of a misfit at this point. She's not a very interesting rewritten character at this point, so I would like to see where they move this character forward to. I'm not really sure what they're going to do, but dude, she's OP, man. She's like the last. Talk about Deus Ex Machina. Like, she comes in last second, starts blowing up stuff. She could basically single-handedly take on pretty much everybody. Although she gets the smackdown from Thanos with that one Infinity Gem. I forget which one it was. That big purple one that Ronan wanted to I don't know what that gem was. I forget. It's the purple one from Guardians of the Galaxy. That's all I remember. And Doctor Strange coming back. I really like Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. I just love that character. I would love to see another Doctor Strange movie. Please, Marvel, can we get another one of these Doctor Strange movies? I really enjoy that whole that realm stuff that they're doing. And it was nice. Yeah, it was there were just lots of these really nice human moments throughout the whole movie. And how heartbreaking. How heartbreaking was the opening scene? I mean, it just started when we were sitting in the cinemas. It just kind of started, and we see basically Barton playing with his kids and with his family out in the middle of the field, and all of a sudden they just get dusted, and it's just like, oh my gosh, that is horrific. And then obviously when the Avengers come in and come to kill Thanos, and then Thor basically chops off Thanos' head, and then we flash forward 5 years later. I was almost in disbelief. I'm like, no, they're letting this. It is just, man, they're just making this really bad for everybody. And then we obviously go to the support group, which with the cameo of I believe that was one of the Russo brothers. I don't know which one it was, but one of the Russo brothers was one of the cameos in the support group, which I thought was kind of a nice nod. I don't know if any other Russo brothers in there. And Stan Lee's last cameo being we saw a young Stan Lee, and I thought it was quite. It was nice. My favorite cameo post Stan Lee's death has definitely been the one in in Into the Spider-Verse, and that was the one for me that caught me off guard. I was like, oh, I was not expecting to see this, and it's also one of the most endearing cameos. So I'm this one I didn't get the feels for, but it was nice seeing him in his last cameo, basically. So it was a nice tribute to Stan Lee. And man, do they have the de-aging process? Disney have the de-aging process down. They had a young Michael Douglas in here, flawless. I mean, it was absolutely flawless. You would have had, if you didn't know who Michael Douglas was, and you just watched that and didn't know that he was playing a young Michael Douglas, I would dare say that you would have no idea that was de-aged. Like, that was impressive de-aging. They're getting too good at this. It is really, really, really impressive, and I was super stoked. What else? Thor getting fat was probably one of my most favorite scenes. It was nice to see Korg back again. Taika Waititi playing Korg, obviously in New Asgard, which was just a really funny scene. But yeah, Thor being fat. It was kind of funny that Thor never got skinny through the rest of the movie. He just stayed fat the whole time, which I thought was very, very amusing. And I also really dug that it was a clever trick. What I mean trick, it was a very clever way to write Hulk also into the movie, where he was Hulk and Bruce Banner at the same time. So they didn't have to like deal with the fact of him having to Hulk out, but he was always going to be strong. So I thought it was kind of a clever way to kind of mishmash those two. Don't know if everybody agreed with it, but it was kind of I thought it was a clever way to basically condense a lot of inconvenience into a very convenient form. I mean, it was definitely written for convenience, don't get me wrong, but it didn't bother me at all, and I thought it was quite good. It was nice to see Loki back again. It was really funny seeing, I was in the cinema and Loki appeared, the first appearance of Loki, and he's sitting in his cell basically back on Asgard when Rocket and Thor go back in time. And we have Loki just lying down in his cell, and some girl behind me was squealing like, it's Loki! And the whole cinema just cracked up. I just thought it was quite funny from my cinema point of view. The other moment for me too was when basically Captain America picks up the Thor's hammer, and it was just such a, I don't know, like I don't maybe there's more significance to this than I understand, but I just thought it was a really cool moment. I guess that just means that now Captain America is worthy. He was kind of always worthy, I guess, but now it was kind of cool, and it was nice seeing Cap kind of going all Thor on Thanos, which was a really, really cool fight scene. I really enjoyed seeing, seeing Captain America hold his own against Thanos. And in a sense, it was kind of nice that Captain America was, to the end, he was just fighting to the end, and he would have kept going regardless of the armies that were standing over the horizon. And he was just, but then obviously we get the Eagles and they come and rescue everybody. You know what I mean? Not the Eagles. The Eagles. When I mean the Eagles, I mean the convenience. Yeah. But yeah, the whole movie is at a very, very big roller coaster of emotion. I can't stress enough how unprepared I was to be emotionally thrown all over the place for this movie. But in a satisfying way. It is a tad long. I know they're trying to cram in a lot of story in a 3-hour movie. It is a very, very long movie. 3 hours. I wouldn't necessarily say you feel it, but it is a long film, and you would be smart not to drink too many fluids doing this whole movie. In fact, if you can just not drink anything, at least for the first half of the movie, you'll be all right. But just be prepared. You're going to drink a big drink. You got to be prepared to run to the bathroom midway through the movie. There are a few slow parts you might be able to get through. But for the most part, it's a long slog. So just be prepared. Don't bring in a big drink. Yeah, it's going to be, you don't want to miss too much of this movie. So yeah, just be prepared. Yeah. So overall, my thoughts. It was a nice send off to all these characters. Obviously, Cap's not coming back because he's old now, and I appreciate the fact that they didn't put Chris Evans in old man makeup. I appreciate that they got another actor to play Captain America as old Captain America. I think Tony Stark's death was a perfect death in the sense that he needed to go out that way, and I know he's done. When he figured out, his daughter was so cute, and I also love the fact that I love that Natalie Portman was in this movie, but she didn't say anything. Was she even in the movie? Maybe they just took that scene from another part of the movie. Maybe I don't even know if she was actually in the movie, but I appreciate that they brought back a lot of people. Like Rene Russo was in there. I feel like Rene Russo needs to be in more movies because I miss seeing her. I love seeing Michelle Pfeiffer back in these movies as well. I hope she's in the next movie, the next Ant-Man movie as well. Paul Rudd too. I have to give a lot of credit to Paul Rudd. He brings the funny, but also brings the heart. I mean, he's such a likable actor, and I like his character in this. I love the Ant-Man character actually. I think he's quite funny. There's so much to love about this film. It does end on a really great note. So yeah, guys, if you get a chance to go see it, definitely go see it. I'd love to discuss more. There probably will be some other thoughts I have about this later on. There's not really a lot to say about this movie. I mean, if you're going to go see the movie, you're going to see the movie anyway. But for the most part, like it's a fantastic finale to bookend the Marvel MCU at this point, all the way from Iron Man. And to see all the beats that we've watched over the last, I don't know, like maybe 14, 15 years play out. Maybe actually it's been about 10 years, hasn't it? The last 10 years basically play out the way that they have. It's a miracle, man. We are living in the greatest times in terms of movies. Like, I cannot believe we are getting the movies that we are getting now. It is insane. If you told me that we were going to get that Marvel movies would be one of the highest grossing films of all time, I would be laughing, because comic book movies back in the 90s were not good movies. But we are getting some epic. This is some epic stuff, man. Like, I cannot believe we are getting the caliber of movies that we are with the amount of money invested in this thing. This movie must have cost at least $300 million. It looks so expensive, but they did well, and give it a thumbs up. So guys, what did you guys think of the movie? Would love to discuss anything. Is there anybody out there who didn't like the movie? I would like to see some people who didn't like the movie. I'm going to go hunting for reviews to see if anybody didn't actually like the film, because there's going to be some people who don't like Marvel movies. I get it. If you're not invested, you're not invested. So that's fine. But did you think... I will have this caveat though. It's a time travel movie, so there are always going to be things with time travel that just aren't going to quite make a lot of sense. I love that they made callbacks to Back to the Future, which was kind of hilarious. And I loved how Tony Stark figured out how to do time travel, which was pretty awesome. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening. And look, I'm going to do there'll be another episode of this, the Game of Thrones episode 3. The basically the battle at Winterfell is going to be epic. So we'll be back for that. Will there be an eagle scene? Will there be a Deus Ex Machina to save the asses of everybody in Winterfell? Because I guarantee you they're going to get their butts hit. I can't imagine them winning. The odds are not in favor of them. If anything, they have to flee. But maybe the Knights of the Vale will come back. It'd be terrible if the Knights of the Vale come back and save everybody's asses. But we'll see. Anyway, guys, thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.